Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ali and today we're talking about March new releases. Usually I organize these by publishing date. Today I'm organizing by genre. Wow, I'm just so wild. I love to mix things up. I'm just gonna jump in because I have 64 books here, I'm pretty sure. Starting off with the general/literary fiction, I have 13 books here. Let me give myself some room. Okay, first of all, this cover. Anything that's this pink is gonna go on my TBR. It's called 200 Monas and it's a pretty wild synopsis. It says it's for fans of Phoebe Waller-Bridge and Miranda July, so that is also another reason to put it on my TBR. But basically, we have our main character, Arvi. She's a college senior and her mom recently dies. In her mother's closet, she finds a bunch of drugs. At first, she thinks it's Molly, but it's actually this thing called Mona. And I think the reason it's called Mona is because it makes you have like crazy orgasms. This is another reason why this is on my TBR. I guess some dealers come knocking on the door and they're like, we want our money, and if you don't give it to us in 48 hours, we're gonna kill you. Which is crazy because like, why wouldn't they just take the drugs back? You know? Like sell them or die? That's a bit extreme. So our girl Arvi is on a mission to sell all of these drugs. She enlists the help of her local drug dealer, and guess what, guys? I think she has a romance with her local drug dealer, which is just so Florida of her. Canon event. I guess he's a really nice guy and his name is Wolf, and they're scrambling to get all these things done. I think they might partake in the drugs. She's falling in love but also dealing with this grief. Like, it's a very serious kind of topic, but also mixed in with sexuality. And this is what it got me from the very beginning. But it says it's an honest examination of sexuality and grief, two of my favorite topics, by the way. It's a sharp, searing love letter on how to release all that's inside of you. I mean, this is, oh my God. Next up, we have Diorama, and I believe this is translated from Portuguese. I know that the author is from Brazil. We're following Cecilia, and she's a taxidermist. I think she grew up in Brazil, but she fled to California because actually her dad, there was this like huge scandal, and he was the prime suspect of killing some famous politician. So in present day, she's out in Cali, and she gets a phone call. Her dad's dying, so she's gonna go back home. And during this time, and throughout this whole book, I think we're gonna go back in time and have like a sort of coming of age in hindsight. What got me here was in the synopsis, it says that her story emerges, it stalks her, hunts her, and becomes her natural predator. I think that mixed with the cover, I just have so many questions. I think this is gonna be like a really maybe sad story, but maybe interestingly told. But also the original cover, it says romance as like the tagline, and I have questions. Next up, Gunk, another cover that has been haunting me for a while. And I think this came out like a year ago, maybe in England. The blurb actually says that this is about two women working side by side, sleeping with the same man, inching toward friendship. Yes, I love a mess, but also this almost seems like a spoiler based on what else is in the synopsis. So we find out that our main character's name is Jules, and her ex-husband owns a nightclub at like a college town, and she's the bartender, and then I guess they still get along enough to work together, and she watches him like hit on college students like a creep. One day he hires this new girl to work the bar with her, and I think they slowly become friends, but it's also hinted at, I mean, it basically says it in the blurb, that this young woman is hooking up with her ex-husband, but it doesn't say it in the synopsis, which is interesting. Apparently the new girl gets pregnant. Again, I think the women bond even closer, but when she gives birth to the baby, I think the new girl dips. I don't know for how long, but I want them all to be a family. Not the dude. Like, he can go fuck off, it sounds like. But like, what if they fall in love? One can dream, but just become like really deep friends and raise this child together? I'm hoping for a wholesome moment, but I think we're gonna get some interesting dynamics for sure, and that's something that I just really eat up. Okay, Lake Effect. This is for the drama. Talk about messy. I don't even know if it's like going to the levels of messiness that I have decided it is, but I'm gonna read it and find out. So back in the 70s, we have this woman who is so bored by her husband. Her daughter is falling in love with for the first time, and I think the mom is like, God, I wish I had that sort of excitement in my life again. So she decides to fuck her neighbor and have a very messy affair, and I guess people find out and things implode. It's just like a crazy situation. Then it says we go into the future when the daughter is a grown woman. I think she's like a chef at a famous restaurant. She's doing great, and she's going back home for a family wedding. It sounds like there might be some estrangement going on. It sounds like maybe she hasn't been home in a while. And then it says that she makes a mistake that turns her life upside down. Okay, my first thought is that I've just watched too many soap operas, but the mom was definitely, was she having an affair with her daughter's boyfriend? Surely not. Surely not. It's probably like his dad or something. But also, what did this girl do? Is it just like a generational thing to have affairs with your neighbors? That's kind of a interesting legacy, honestly. It's not boring, I'll say that. Next up, we have The Woman and Her Stars, and this is actually based off true events. We're following Caroline Herschel. Have no idea who that is. Her brother, Mr. Herschel, he has a first name, I'm sure. I did Google him while I was doing research and I promptly forgot. But he was a famous astronomer and composer. This book takes place when her brother is hired by the king to be like his astronomer. How crazy is it that the king would just be like, yeah, you're gonna be my jester. You're gonna be my artist. You're gonna be my astronomer. That's crazy. It says that Caroline goes with him after she makes a discovery that could send her right back to the people she was rescued from. I have no idea what that means. Again, this is a true story, so I could find out, but I'm gonna wait to read the book. I don't understand that sentence at all. It says that she acts as her brother's assistant during this time with the king. I think they're living in Bath, which I've actually been there, by the way. I don't know why I felt the need to tell you. I was so excited. I haven't been too many places, so that was a very exciting moment for me. But while she's there, she realizes that this is a great passion of hers, and I think she might even surpass her brother, at least in like astronomy skills and revelations. I think this is going to be about her gaining like independence, getting the confidence to like make something of herself, go forth with her own passions in her own life. I'm hoping that her brother is nice, but I guess you just never know, do you? Next up, Where the Girls Were. And this is kind of like if the Grady Hendrix book from last year, or the year before, question mark, was a feel-good general fiction. We have a valedictorian, big smarty pants, in the 1960s. She's got like her whole future to look forward to. She's going to Stanford, and then she follows some guy to San Francisco for the summer. Her family thinks she's lost her mind. She comes back pregnant. And during this time, this is like the great shame. So her family sends her to like a house for mothers, unwed mothers or something. And this is about her time there, befriending all of these women. I think it's going to be a happy ending. I haven't read that Grady Hendrix book, but I hear it's a little crazy. I don't think there's gonna be like any bloody messes, but who knows? Again, I think this is gonna be a story about someone gaining independence, but gaining like a found family. I am a sucker for some wholesome shit, and a sucker for a story of like girls living together. Next up, Big Nobody. This is a coming of age story, which I will always drop everything to read. Also, did you have that at your school? Dear? Was that just a Florida thing or a US thing? Drop everything and read? I remember loving this. It was just like, what was it, 30 minutes that you had to read? All the kids were bitching and moaning, and all of us nerds were like, this is my time to be alive. This is set in London. We have a young girl whose mother and younger brothers have recently died. I think there was like some tragic accident. Our character, what is her name? No idea. She's blaming her father, and she talks about him in the synopsis in a very cruel way that I won't be repeating. It does sound like he's a controlling man. Obviously, he's lost a lot. But this is set in the 70s, and she's not allowed to have like friends. She's not allowed to go out. And this is the story of her trying to rebel against that. And I think she like over rebels. She crosses a line at one point, and the only sort of social engagements that she has, is that the proper term, is that her father makes her go to this weekly Greek freaks event where like they hang out with other Greek people. I mean, she's surely got to make a friend there. I'm hoping it's wholesome, but it sounds like she is going to get herself into possibly some dangerous situations, and like finding out that, oh, her dad is human. It seems a little bit predictable, but again, I will always read a coming of age story. Next up, The Natural Way of Things, and I actually have this one. I got it from Book of the Month, and I didn't know that the cover actually looks like this. It's like a full horse mode. Also, happy year the horse, bitches. So I don't know which one I would have liked better. Probably this one. This was apparently published in Australia, I believe, a few years ago. I've heard some interesting reviews, and I've definitely heard that there are some content warnings, so look those up if you need to. I'm just gonna read this out verbatim, okay? Two women awaken from a drugged sleep to find themselves imprisoned in a broken down property in the middle of a desert. Strangers to each other, they have no idea where they are or how they came to be there with 8 other women, their heads shaved, guarded by 2 inept yet vicious jailers. I am a little scared here, But doing hard labor under a sweltering sun, the prisoners soon learn what links in each woman's past is a sexual scandal with a powerful man. They pray for rescue, but as the hours turn into days and the days into weeks and months, it becomes clear that the women must rescue themselves. It sounds so intense, possibly traumatic, definitely traumatic, but I'm too nosy not to read this. And I do love the story of people like overcoming things, especially in a group dynamic. I hope all these women end up happy in the end, question mark? I don't know if that's too much to ask. Next up, we have Westward Women, which is very hard. That was like the 5th time of me trying to say that title. But this is another dystopian involving women, where one day, all the women in America just stop whatever they're doing. They kind of bail on their jobs, their families, everything, and they start migrating to the West, and they disappear. They vanish. We are following 3 different women during this event. One of them is trying to find her best friend, and she enlists the help of this dude named Piper. The second woman is in Piper's van. He's like helping usher the women to the West. That is so suspicious. I don't know. I don't know, like, I just don't know. And the last woman that we're following is actually a journalist, and she's trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. Also, these are women all between the ages of 18 and 35, which is just questionable. It says that this last woman, the journalist, is hunting for answers, but the story might consume her. I just simply must know what is going on. I think we should take bets right now. Should we trust Piper or not? Next up is Black Bag, and this one's just so random. Also, a lot of these have like romance subplots. I am so here for a random romance. This one is following a dude named Luke. He's an out-of-work actor, and so he's picking up any job he can. This particular job, he's hired by a teacher or a professor at a university, and he wants Luke to sit all throughout this lecture in a bag, zipped up. And the experiment is to see if his students will notice or what they will do with this information. I just, like, what is this plot? What is this? He's paid to sit in a zipped bag. Then it says a professor of posthumanism develops research questions of her own. In particular, can you love someone secreted away inside of a black bag? So this other teacher falls in love with this dude who's like in a bag. Also, does he stay in the bag the whole time, or does he just show up, zip up, and sit there for like an hour? I have so many questions. It says it's an off-kilter love story, but also I think Luke's like friend is trying to use this for clout. There's gonna be, I don't care about that side plot line. I mostly care about like, what is this experiment and how does the love start, you know? I gotta know. Next up, we have The Bear Hunter's Daughters, and this is translated, I believe, from Swedish. It says it's a modern day fairy tale where this bear hunter has 7 daughters, and one day he dies. He has kept these daughters though deep in the woods, and he's told them not to use like technology. He's kept them very like isolated. And after he and his wife die, I think the youngest of the sisters is 12 years old. They are grappling with each other whether to stay in this kind of isolated lifestyle or to kind of move on to the modern world. That actually sounds so tame and like not even that interesting. But what has me putting this on my TBR is that the reviews are insane. Like every single one of them is saying that this is disgusting, depraved, violent, and disturbing. And everyone says the same thing with a range of ratings from like 5-star to 1-star. They're all saying the same thing. And that's my favorite type of book. Let me read you some of these reviews, okay? The girls were angry and unwashed, and this person gave it a 2-star for that reason. The story disturbed me in my bones. It was so uncomfortable at times. Midsummer meets Yellow Jackets. All of that, and like this is the most tame synopsis I've ever read. Apparently it's loosely based on a book called Seven Brothers, and I've never heard of it. But I am so intrigued, and it's the kind of excitement of intrigued that I'm feeling that has me thinking that I'm gonna read it, and it is gonna be disgusting, and it's not gonna be fun, but I guess I'm gonna find out. Next up, we have Almost Life. This sounds like it would be for fans of Sunburn, which I am a huge fan of, so this is why I'm very excited to read it. We have 2 young women who meet in Paris in the summer of 1978. One of them is like studying abroad, the other one's studying there for like full-time, and they meet up. I think they fall in love, but of course the summer has to end. But we move on through time, and oh god, the way that it explains this, it says this is the beginning of a relationship that will define their lives in every decision that they have yet to make. Erica and Laura's love story spans decades, marriage, children, secret trysts, and agonizing changes. I love the sort of like cursed yearning feeling that I'm already getting from this. I'm sure this is going to be a good one for me. And last in this genre, we have A Good Person. I did put in a request to get this on NetGalley months ago, and they haven't answered me yet. So please, if you would cross your fingers for me, I would very much appreciate it because this sounds very good. It says it's Gone Girl meets Big Swiss. Our main character's name is Lillian. She's obsessed with this dude. I think they're hooking up, but they're keeping it casual, and she wants to be his girl. It sounds like she's doing some sort of like personality gymnastics to manipulate him into wanting her, which is just not a great way to start a relationship, in case you were wondering. But eventually he cuts her off and he dumps her. She gets drunk and she's very upset, and she decides to hex him, which is just LOL fun for her and fun for us as readers, because the next day he literally dies. And I think he's murdered. She looks like suspect number one. And I am so sorry to tell you this, but also the drama. He had a girlfriend the whole time, like a long-term girlfriend, and she was a side piece. And our girl is pissed. Except I don't even think she's really pissed at him. She's pissed at like the girlfriend. So this is definitely a book where it's going to be an unlikable character, which is something I very much enjoy, and I know a lot of you do too, because she wants to be like seen as his girlfriend. She wants to, what does it say? She wants to assume her rightful place as Henry's mourning girlfriend. Like, girl! But then she also has to clear her name and find out like who actually murdered him. I'm kind of hoping that, I don't think it is, because it's not like flagged as fantasy. I would like a demon to have killed him, or like this hex to have actually worked. I don't think that's going to be the case, but this sounds funny and messy and unlikable. I am so here for it. NetGalley, please, I beg you. All right, moving on to romance, I have 11 books here. A few of these are actually traditionally published, previously indie romances, so I think you could like literally read them now if you have access to the indie book. First up, a book by Talia Hibbert. I didn't even, see, this is why I love it when publishers pick up indie books, because like I was not aware that Talia Hibbert even had this series. This is the Ravenswood series, yikes! I just had war flashbacks to my PLL days, but this is book one in that series. It's called A Girl Like Her. It actually sounds like this could be one of the Brown sisters. Our main character's name is Ruth. She's autistic. She's the black sheep of her town. It sounds like she had some sort of scandal going on, and I'm very curious as to know what happened. But she's very much isolated herself because whenever she gives someone a chance, they kind of are mean to her, it sounds like, which is very sad. Anyway, she gets a new neighbor one day, and of course, he's like really hot and sweet and in love with her. It says she can't let her guard down no matter how many home-cooked meals Evan brings over. And if there's one thing about me, it's that I cannot get enough of a simp who cooks in a romance novel. So I'm gonna be a goner for this couple, I'm so sure. And I already know that I love Talia Hibbert's writing, so I am so fucking excited for this. Next up we have Across the Vanishing Sky. This sounds like it's actually like a suspense romance, or it's not mafia, but it's like a thrillery romance. Our main character's name is Brayden. She's coming back to her small town with her son because her bestie has gone missing, and she is going to figure out what's going on. Her love interest is her next door neighbor. Apparently he's a grump, he's very grouchy, and I think people in town don't even like him. Like, he's not the kind of grump that's like lovable, like a Luke Danes. Like, people are scared of this man, except it sounds like he's a total simp, which again, I love. I think they're gonna team up together and figure out what's going on. It is the start of a series, I think, and I can't tell if it's gonna continue with this like suspenseful plot and like maybe our main girl gets kidnapped, or if they're gonna move on to another character and it's like an interconnected thing. It does say that our character has to trust a man that she swore she never would again, so it almost sounds like this might be a second chance romance. It's not very clear. I hope if that's the case that we get some like flashbacks. It says someone isn't happy that Bray has been digging around and they'll do anything to stop her. But Dex, the grumpy dude, he'll do anything to save her. And yeah, I'm gonna read it and I think I'm gonna like it. And the second book comes out in July. That's like a crazy quick turnaround. Next up we have Anderson and Bloom. This one actually has a few tropes that I don't love, but I'm always looking for exceptions for. We have enemies to lovers, which is like hit or miss for me, second chance romance, ditto, and childhood actors, like their previous actors. They're not currently, I don't think, but I'm gonna give these lesbians a chance, okay? Andy is our main character. She was on a show with this other girl and they fell in love. It was Nikki and Andy show or something like that. It was literally their names. She ran away from that life many years ago, and now she's a florist in a small town, and I love that for her. She finds out that her co-star slash ex-girlfriend is coming out with like a tell-all story, and our character gets drunk and angry, and I think texts or calls her, and she yells at her. I don't know. She reveals where she is though, and Nikki comes to town and she refuses to leave. It sounds like she's been pining for her all this time. I'm sure this is just gonna be like a miscommunication. Like someone's agent said something, or they had a plan to meet and then one of them never showed up and then their cell phone went out of service. It's gonna be the most dumb reason why they like fell apart. I'm hoping for more, okay? I just want to prepare myself in case miscommunication is a big part of this story. If the writing is done well enough and if their chemistry is good enough, and the smut, obviously, then I can get past some miscommunication. And maybe it'll be my favorite child acting enemies to lovers second chance romance ever. Next up, we have In Time With You. Now, it says it's YA on Goodreads, but they're actually in college, so I would say new adult. This one's kind of got a fantastical element to it. So our main character's name is Neve, and her boyfriend dies because he's saving her from drowning and he ends up dying. She is obviously not doing well with this and she blames herself, which is very sad. And actually, the dude's best friend also blames her. Apparently, that's what she says. He probably blames himself too, and that's going to be something that they discover, blah, blah, blah. This is where the plot gets very interesting because Neve ends up going to her grandmother's house as like a reprieve. She needs just some time away, and either her grandmother or her grandmother's house is known to have some mystical things happening near or around them, because suddenly Neve wakes up and it's like a year earlier, and I think she gets to relive the situation, except it's not like the day of the drowning. I think it's actually, it says it's back to their first day of freshman year of college. So if he died in the summer, I think this is going to be the entire academic year of them falling in love. First of all, it doesn't say anything about like the college setting, but I hope we get some college like academics. I love academics in a book. Just gonna be a wish. I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed for that. Anyway, she's decided that the way that she can save her boyfriend from drowning is to not get with him, distance herself from him, stop him from dating her. She thinks that this will prevent him from drowning, which is probably not gonna be the case, but we'll find out. Interestingly enough, the more she sort of stays away from her boyfriend, who's not even her boyfriend in this like alternate situation, the more she's drawn to his best friend, who in the actual world hates her for this thing that happened. So it sounds very complicated and a little messy. And I think she's gonna find out that she loves his best friend more than she ever loved him. Or maybe she's just gonna find out that death is this great mystery and maybe her boyfriend's gonna die, maybe not. I don't know if it's gonna be the situation though, where they keep living from this moment on, or they're gonna go back to like the main alternate reality or the main reality. I hate when books go into an alternate universe and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I've learned all my lessons. I know how to do shit. I'm begging for a book that puts a character into an alternate reality and they actually have to figure shit out and keep going from there. I guess either way, this might be very cute and perhaps messy. One of my favorite things in a romance in particular. Next up, we have Any Means Necessary, and this is another republished traditional, and it was previously an indie, and I think it's a dark romance. I have so many questions about the synopsis, so of course you have to read it. I mean, that's not the only reason, but I do love a dark romance, okay? Our main character's name is Lexi. She's an ER nurse, and she has agreed to house sit for a friend in New York City. So she goes there, and there's a guy there. Then we get sort of his POV. It sounds like he's a hitman and he's like, who is this random girl in my apartment? It says that they come to an agreement and he's gonna let her stay there. Who is her friend? Is it not her friend's apartment? I have so many questions that they didn't make clear at all. Anyway, Lexi gets sucked into his like dark Gotham City vibe and she ends up being their like nurse whenever someone gets shot, and she like gives them stitches, and she's gonna get wrapped up in this sort of dark romance. Yeah, I'm gonna read it obviously. But like, whose apartment is it? Oh, maybe he's like that much of a criminal that he has found different apartments that he knows is going to be empty. So, oh, okay, wait, that might be interesting. I'm gonna move on. I love to make up plots in these books, by the way. The Starter X. Now, this kind of feels like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. It is pretty goofy, this idea. Okay, our main character's name is Vanessa, and back in college, she had this sort of side gig with the girls, and she would date their crushes. She would do all the things that the dudes hated, so that by the time she was kind of done with them, the girls who actually want to date these dudes would look so good in comparison. This is the dumbest. First of all, Who would pay for this? Second of all, this is a wild bet. I feel like I know so many people who date someone who's like so annoying that by the time they break up with them, they're like, yeah, I'm not dating anyone for 3 more years. So an interesting business plan, but at least she says it's a side gig, you know? Apparently it was successful. Guess what? It gets messier. Her little sister, this is like years in the future, her little sister has a crush on this rich dude and she begs her sister to date him and like make herself look bad so that her sister can look really good. And so I guess she comes out of retirement, but she's gonna fall in love with him. Messy, 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 messy. And the reason it's sort of like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days coded is because this dude has his own sort of agenda. He has a mother. Why did I say mother like that? His mom is really like controlling of his life and she really wants him to get married. So he wants to date someone who his mom would never approve of because then she wouldn't want him to get married. But like, that makes no sense to me. Wouldn't the mom start trying to get him to dump her and date someone else? I don't know. Whatever. We're gonna find out because I will be reading this. So each of them have their own agenda and they're gonna end up dating, and I wonder if they know up front that they're like using each other. I sort of hate that as a third act possibility, like the revelation that they were both playing each other, because it's quite obvious that they're gonna fall in love and who the fuck cares at that point. Or have they agreed to like fake date? I have no idea. I can't imagine he would agree to eventually get set up with his sister if he's like so afraid of commitment. I think this is gonna be fun, okay? I'm gonna read it for sure. Next up we have Toe to Toe by Fallon Ballard, who just came out with a book like a couple months ago. And this one is another movie sort of callback. This is like Step Up. Our main character's name is Allegra and she's a ballerina. She desperately wants this part, but like the dude, the director, is like, you don't have enough sex appeal. First of all, if someone ever said that to me, I would just go be a dancer somewhere else, obviously. Like, this is kind of crazy. But she decides that she just has to have this part, and so she hires this man. It says he's like an all-male revue dancer, and I think that's like a Magic Mike kind of dancer, like sexy. And it's just so funny because like Magic Mike, Channing Tatum, Step Up. He agrees to teach her how to be more sexy in their dancing. And in turn, she's going to let him choreograph some of the show. She's gonna like put in a good word for him. So they're both getting something out of this, and obviously they're gonna fall in love. And one thing about me, I say that all the time, by the way. I just noticed I've said that like 3 times in this video. One thing about me, more like 300 things about me. I love dancing in a book. I love it in movies. I just love dancing in real life. But in a book, just the way it's described, sometimes an author is not very good at this and it can really like ruin the thing. But I trust Fallon Ballard. Not that I've read any of her books, but I trust her. When authors do a good job with dancing scenes, it's like the best, most tension building shit. And so I cannot wait for this. I'm so excited. Yeah, I did love Step Up, okay? I watch it all the time, although I turn it off before that thing happens that makes me cry. So yeah. Next up we have One and Only, and this is another one that was indie and now it's being traditionally published. Or the publisher sent it to me. Thank you so much. I'm not used to holding up books like in these videos. This is so exciting. This is a marriage of convenience story, which is one of my favorite tropes ever. The synopsis is in first person, which is one of my biggest pet peeves. So I don't even know the main girl's name, but our main character, she wants to get married because her dad is sick and dying. And one of his wishes is to walk his daughter down the aisle. I'm sorry. I think this is gonna make me cry for sure. And then the dude that she's marrying, his name is Beckett. He wants to get married for like a custody reason. He has a daughter that I guess he's not going to be able to get custody of unless he has a spouse. I don't know, like in a court of law, is that a real thing? I doubt it. It's also a very sketchy way to go about doing that. So I've already got some opinions of this Beckett character, but they have decided very like responsibly, very logistically, logic, no feelings. They're like, yeah, we can do this. Apparently they're very opposite. He's very quiet and serious. He's also her brother's teammate. I have no idea what kind of sport he's playing. Maybe it's not even a sport. Maybe it's like a D&D team member. I don't know. But of course they're gonna fall in love. It says that they had only planned to spend 1 year together and then they were gonna break up. But we know that's not happening. I love marriage of convenience or like arranged marriage stories because a lot of the times it's like 2 people who normally wouldn't fall in love get together. And also I hate it in romances sometimes when they really rely on just the characters being hot, which is sometimes how people people fall in love. But it's nice to see stories where that is probably, like, they're probably both very hot and they probably both recognize that. But like, clearly that's not what's gonna make them fall in love. And I do think that's very, like, so cute to read. It like makes me more giddy, you know? So I am very excited to read this. Also, it's not 700 pages long, which I'm very thankful for. I feel like lately all romances have been like 500 pages. What's up with that? Next up we have Shake Out the Ghosts. I'm so confused about this, but I'm so excited for this plot because there's ghosts in it, okay? Well, obviously the title is Shake Out the Ghosts. Sorry. Okay, this dude Micah, it sounds like he had a very traumatic attack and he has scars on his face. He has PTSD. He is going through it. And in his apartment, it looks like it might be haunted because 80s like pop music is starting to play when he's not like playing any music, and inspirational like motivational quotes and messages start appearing on his mirror. So it's like the ghost is trying to help him get better. That is the cutest fucking thing I have ever heard. And our main character thinks so too. But suddenly the ghost disappears and our character is gonna try to figure out what's going on. He finds out that the previous tenant who died is named Cosmo. And then, this was so interesting. Like, I don't understand this, but I'll find out what happened. A very much alive Cosmo has an apartment and he's being haunted by a guy with scars on his face. So it's like they're both ghosts in each other's stories. So is there some sort of portal? I have no idea. And then it says they have a chance meeting. Like IRL, both human, alive men bump into each other. I know you needed that visual, but like how? What is the physics of this? Is it the apartment that's magical? I need to know more information, so I will be reading this. But how cute is it? Like, even if it was just a story about like a ghost who is trying to help you heal, I need more ghost romances, okay? Next up we have Liars and Liaisons, and I didn't realize until yesterday that this is the 6th book in an interconnected series. I'm gonna start this one and I don't give a fuck. I think that was aggressive, wow. I think this series is a like Greek mythology retellings. The first one has like pomegranates on it and it's like Hades and Persephone. This one is, I didn't write it down, but I don't really care. The only reason I want to read this is because it sounds messy as fuck. Also, this is dark romance, so just know that going in. Our main character's name is Violet. She has recently been dumped and or dumped her boyfriend. She's trying to win him back though. She goes to this masquerade gala. It's a charity event because rich people. And this is where NetGalley and Goodreads have like 2 different synopses, so I'm going to tell you both. In one of the synopses, it says that Violet kisses who she thinks is her ex-boyfriend. Turns out it's his brother. Messy, messy, messy. I love it. In the Goodreads synopsis, it goes on to say, and actually now that I'm reloading the NetGalley page, it's the same. So maybe I just hallucinated this? Whatever. The dude is actually pissed at his brother. He's trying to get revenge. And so he actually knows that it's Violet that he kisses. And he knows it's gonna piss his brother off, which is a little bit of a different flavor to this book. But again, dark romance. They're gonna end up falling in love. There's like corrupt things happening in their rich people lives. All I care about is the mess, okay? And lastly, we have The Bridge Back to You. This is a second chance romance, also about a restaurant. And since I really loved Before I Let Go, which is a second chance romance and they own a restaurant together, I'm gonna give this a shot, okay? And I really like the cover. Our girl's name is Olivia, and back in the day, she had a boyfriend and she loved her boyfriend's mom who owned a restaurant. I think the boyfriend's mom really took her under her wing, taught her how to cook, taught her this passion that she had. And then when Olivia turned 19, she was ready to move out of this town and she wanted like more for herself, etc., etc. So she left. She broke up with her boyfriend who refused to leave, and I don't think they've talked since. Now it's 10 years later. Olivia is like a hot shot chef, I'm pretty sure, but her ex-boyfriend's mom dies. That's very sad. But she was sneaky and she left the restaurant to both her son and Olivia. I'm guessing with the hopes that they could like reconnect. A nosy mother from beyond the grave. I love to see it. Anyway, the boy is pretty pissed at Olivia for whatever reason. Honestly, he should have probably gotten over it in 10 years. It'll be interesting to see if I like his character, but he is gonna try to buy Olivia out. He doesn't think that she's gonna want to come back home. He doesn't trust her to be reliable, but she flies home and she's ready to run things, and she is kind of looking for some stability in her life and she kind of wants to stay around. It's kind of giving like Luke and Rachel. I think they're gonna bump heads at first, but then they're gonna fall back in love. I wonder if it's gonna be dual timeline. I do think this is a situation for a second chance that makes sense. Like, people graduate from high school, they do go away, and some people stay, and I think that's a very realistic reason for a breakup. So we'll see how cute it's written. We'll see if they have good chemistry. I don't think I've read anything from this author before. Let me check. No, never read anything by her, but I'm kind of excited for this one. Moving on to fantasy. This first book is called Puzzles and Perils: The Crystal Quest. It says it's a novel in 100 fantastical puzzles. I'm so confused as to what this even is, and I think that's why I want to read it. So I'm just gonna read verbatim, okay? We have Meralda and Orion, two ordinary orphans from the village of Humblewick, as they embark upon a perilous quest. A mysterious stranger, the wizard Morgorium, has enlisted them to reclaim the crystal of blah blah blah. I actually don't even care. Like, I love a quest. You don't need to give me too many details. This is the interesting part. As you journey with our heroes, you, us, the reader, will solve 100 fantastical puzzles that are woven directly into the narrative. You'll decipher hidden symbols, uncover secret routes, and crack intricate logic puzzles, all while helping Meralda and Orion navigate treacherous landscapes, outsmarting cunning foes, and confronting their destiny. Like, how, though? I don't understand how, like, I've requested this on NetGalley, and I don't know, like, what the format's even gonna look like. Is it gonna be one of those books where it's like, turn to page 320 if you want them to go over the quicksand? I just don't know. Like, how is this gonna look if it's a puzzle? I just need to know. Next up, we have Lady Tremaine, and this is a Cinderella retelling from the point of view of the evil stepmother. At first, I was just like, okay, I've seen these a lot. Ever since Maleficent, we've been obsessed with, like, rewriting. Actually, we've been obsessed with rewriting fairy tales since the beginning of time. But at this point, we've heard this story so many times. It's like the evil lady is actually just lonely and she's looking out, blah, blah, blah. The reviews on this are outstanding, and that's enough for me to give it a chance. So our main character is the evil stepmother, Etheldreda. She has 2 children. She says her stepdaughter is priggish. I don't even know what that means. Let's look it up. Priggish. Self-righteously moralistic and superior. That's actually kind of funny. Anyway, she is trying to get her daughters to marry the prince so that they are not poor anymore. And I think she is a little upset that instead the prince is looking at her stepdaughter. But she finds out that the royal family is hiding some crazy secret that is, like, dangerous. And so I think she's gonna try to stop her stepdaughter from marrying them because she actually gives a shit about her. Which, again, is kind of basic, but I'm here for any sort of mother-daughter situation. I think it's very sweet. And I'm guessing this secret is fantastical because, like, why else would this be categorized as fantasy? It does say if Bridgerton met Cersei, which is an interesting combination. And then the last sentence here, this book is a battle cry for a mother's love for her daughters, which is so great to read, and a celebration of women everywhere who make their own fortunes. Also, I really do like that cover. Next up, we have The Debtor's Game. So in this fantasy world, it sounds like it's going to be like historical, royal kind of bullshit, but it's also fae and fairy. So fairies are born with tattoos. It shows, like, how much they owe in debt, and they are, like, owned by the high fae. I don't know how this was set up. It's probably some sort of curse, but it sounds very fucked up. So basically, they have to work for freedom. Our main character's name is Avery, and she is a fairy. So she is working for this lady, this high fae lady, called Cassandra. Cassandra's got her own bullshit going on. I think her father's a piece of shit, and she's trying to marry out of her family so that she can get some freedom. And I think if she finds freedom, she's gonna help Avery find freedom. So it feels like a weird frenemy situation because, like, she's technically her employer slash slave owner. And yet I can't imagine that they're not bonding. And it gets a little messy because I think Avery is gonna try to, like, woo the prince who has just recently turned into the king. It says that after a series of tragic events, I'm not sure what that means. I'm a little nervous. Avery is forced to split her loyalties between Cassandra and the king. She's gonna spy on the king. And so I think she's gonna start resenting Cassandra, but also she's maybe gonna fall for the king herself. And through all of this, she is, like, just being shat on because of classism. So she also has resentment for them because they're of a higher class and they're technically, like, oppressing her. It just sounds very complicated. Dynamics that I am very interested in, and it seems like there's gonna be a lot of untangling to do, which is something I always like reading, especially, like, in a fantasy. I think that's gonna be pretty cool. So it sounds pretty good to me. Next up, we have The Library of Amerlin. This is a love story between a con artist girly and a librarian librarian, which is why I put it on my TBR. I guess in this world, there's like a library and it's almost like sacred because it's the only place that's very neutral. It sounds like there's a lot of political shenanigans going on outside of this library, but like the things that come from the library, everyone knows that's like the truth, capital T. Our girl is a con artist and she is paid to go on this mission to go undercover as an assistant at the library, and she's gonna spy and overthrow or help overthrow the main librarian. It just sounds like a funny concept, but I guess it's like a pretty big deal in this fantasy world. As our main character is at the library though, she's like, wait a minute, it's kind of nice here. And also the head librarian is a hunk. She's gonna fall in love with him, all the while she's sort of planning to like ruin his life. Plus, I'm sure the person who hired her has pretty shitty plans as to what they are gonna do in place of this librarian. Sounds like they're probably gonna use it to spread like propaganda, etc., etc. I feel like this is a series and it's gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger. I don't always love that in a political fantasy. I liked a closed environment, and this sounds like I'm going to love it because it sounds like it's all gonna take place in this library. Also, wow, on the cover, I just assumed that was smoke coming up from the library. I'm also assuming this is library, but it also almost looks like dragon scales. Are there dragons in here? Anyway, I'll read anything about a library, but also love in a library. We gotta see it. How many times did I just say library? Next up, we have ruinous creatures. This sounds like an interesting magic system because it's not like people in this story are born with magic. You actually have to absorb it from magical creature bones. So like a griffin or a sphinx or a centaur, like the bones of them you can kind of absorb it and take the magic? Question mark? I'm gonna find out when I read the book. Our main character's name is Adela, and she is actually the kind of person who helps prepare these bones. And I think her boss like does trading to get certain people. Also, how do they figure who should get power and who shouldn't? I feel like this is gonna be a topic that they're gonna delve into, like abuse of power, blah, blah, blah. Our girl Adela, she kind of realizes for the first time that she wants a little power for herself. She comes across 2 phoenix skulls. I think it's been years and years, centuries, or maybe even like unheard of to find a phoenix skull, and her greedy ass reaches out and sucks the power out of both of them. I think this sends the village into disarray. I don't know how, but I guess we'll find out. Then we get a little POV shift in the synopsis from our love interest, okay? His name is Kian, and he hates this magical bullshit because it somehow caused the death of his parents. So he's actually going to this like mating ceremony with a plan to crush these magical bones. I guess if you crush them, the magic dies and maybe the people who yield them die. I don't know. We're gonna find out. Instead, he comes across our girl and they become fated mates, but I think they hate each other's guts. So I am excited to learn more about this magic. I don't quite understand it, and something about me, I like to be confused and I want to know what's going on. It does make me more intrigued, but also I know some people hate this, but I love fated mates in a story, and I especially like it when they kind of don't like each other. It's just fun, okay? What do you want from me? Next up, we have The Fox and the Devil, and I only put this on my TBR because I really love the cover. It's so gorgeous. And then I saw this morning actually that it's a sapphic vampire romance. Yeah, I did not read the rest of the synopsis. I only read that blurb, so I'm gonna read it here now, and I hope it's good. I mean, I'm gonna read it. It's vampires, it's got a cute cover, and we've got immortal lesbians. Annika has a complicated relationship with her father, don't we all, bitch? Abraham Van Helsing, a doctor, scientist, and madman devoted to studying vampires. Now, isn't that the guy who like defeated Dracula? It's only been a year since I read it, but maybe. Up until the night she comes home to find him murdered. Oh no, I'm so sorry. With a surreally beautiful woman looming over his body. A woman who leaves no trace behind other than the dreams and nightmares that plague Annika every night. Is she gonna fall in love with her dad's murderer? Spurred by her desire for vengeance and armed with the latest in forensic investigatory skills, I can't even say that, Annika puts together a team of detectives to catch her mysterious serial killer. Because her father isn't the only inexplicably dead body, there's a trail of victims across Europe, and Annika is certain they're all connected. This vampire bitch better clean up her act. She needs to be a little bit more strategic. But during the years spent restlessly hunting the killer, Annika keeps some crucial evidence to infuriatingly coy letters addressed only to Annika, occasionally soaked in blood, and always signed Diavola, devil. Hello. The obsession is mutual. and all the more dangerous for it. Now I had to remind myself, this is fantasy, it's not a romantasy, so I don't even know. I have hair stuck on my chapstick. I don't even know if they're gonna end up together, but I will take obsession, okay? The closer Annika gets to her devil though, the less sense the world makes. Maybe her father wasn't a bad man after all. No shit. Diavola might be something much worse than a serial killer, ... and much harder to destroy. Because as Annika unearths more of Diavola's tragic past, she suspects that there's still a heart somewhere in that undead, hot body. I put in the hot part, but like clearly. A heart that beats for Annika alone. Okay, I'm so glad I waited to read that. It's been a minute since I was on my vampire shit. I'm kind of in a werewolf era still, and the vampires are calling me back in. Oh my god. Next up, we have Inamorata. This is by Ava Reid. I think it's the author of The Study in Drowning, which I've had a couple of people say I would like. So if you read that book and you think I would like it, let me know. This is book 1 in the House of Teeth duology. This fantasy has necromancy in it. It's sounding like historical Games of Thrones-y kind of thing where there are like different houses, and there has been someone, a conqueror, to come in and kind of bulldoze everything. And only one house has stayed tall and has refused to submit, and there's only 2 people in it. I'm wondering how they did that. Maybe all the dead people is how they did that. The people in the house are the heiress and her cousin Agnes, who is our main character. And Agnes hasn't spoken in 7 years. Funnily enough, this sounds like a couple of the books like combined that we've been talking about. There's like libraries and a little bit of like a love triangle kind of situation happening. Agnes arranges her cousin, the heiress, to marry the son of the conqueror. And she's only doing this so that they can sneak into the forbidden library because that's gonna save the day. Libraries, you know, they're powerful things. But guess what? Again, messy, yes please. She starts falling for the guy she's setting her cousin up with, the son of the conqueror. That's messy in multiple ways. Like, first of all, your cousin's fiance? Girl. But even worse and more questionable, the son of a conqueror? I mean, at least it's not the conqueror. Maybe this guy hates his dad and he hates what he's been doing, but I dare Ava Reid to get even messier. I guess we'll find out because I've got to read this. I also like duologies, you know? I like that they're planned out in advance, you would expect, I suppose. And I know that the end is in sight, so I know they can't get too rambly on us. Next up, we have Seasons of Glass and Iron. These are short stories from one of my fave authors, and it doesn't give us like little synopses of what the stories are about, which is kind of fun. I'm just intrigued. I trust this author. I'm just gonna jump in. But it does say that they are miscellany, like miscellaneous things. Miscellany. I don't think I've ever seen that word used. Miscellany from other worlds. These stories are told in letters, diary entries, reference materials, folk tales, and lyrical prose. So it almost sounds like in both of the books that I've read from this author, there are like fae, and they communicate in very interesting ways. So it sounds like these are going to be communications in that kind of realm. I just want to know what's up. I want to know what these stories are about. I want to know if any of them are going to sweep me off my fucking feet. I'm sure they are. Next up, we have A Widow's Charm. This is a very short synopsis. It says, it's a comedy of errors-esque fantasy romance in which a clever widow blackmails her rakish necromancer neighbor. There's a lot going on here. She wants him to bring her husband back to life and save her home, but she ends up falling for the necromancer. I guess it's very straightforward like that. The cover kind of reminds me of the British covers from the Emily Wilde series. It's very cozy kind of feeling. I have no idea who this author is. Oh, I think this is actually their debut, but I'm down to read it for sure. Speaking of Emily Wilde, this one sounds a little adjacent. This is called The Geomagician, and it's kind of giving the energy of all of these books. It's one of those historical fantasy romance books that I think I'm gonna eat up. Our main character's name is Mary, and she is a geomagician, a paleontologist who uses fossils to wield magic. Oh, that's kind of like this book. Anyway, she discovers an egg. It's a very live pterodactyl, not a fossil, and it's a big fucking deal, quite obviously. She wants to share about her discovery, and so she contacts the Society of Geomagicians, except she already has beef with them. They will not accept any women into their society because this is historical, and also men. And I think she's rightly scared that they are going to take, first of all, the pterodactyl from her. A cute baby pterodactyl. I'm sorry, that sounds adorable. But she also thinks they're gonna try and take credit from her. One person says that he's on her side though, and it happens to be her ex-boyfriend. He's gonna come back. They're going to research more about the society. There's probably some corrupt shit going on. They're probably gonna have to have a chase scene and protect their baby pterodactyl and fall back in love. I'm curious as to why they broke up in the first place, if it's gonna be a lame excuse. Again, Again, second chance romance is haunting me and I can't seem to get rid of it. I think I need to give it more of a chance. But all I really care about is this main character. If she is written anything like Emily Wilde, I'm gonna love her. So we'll see. I would like to point out that I'm the only one making the connection to Emily Wilde. It's not like it says that in the blurb. It's just like a nerdy historical woman, okay? Don't sue me. Next up, we have The Quarter Queen, and we're following the life of Marie Laveau. So we're in 1800s New Orleans, and we have two timelines and two POVs. We have Marie Laveau, who is like the voodoo queen. Her timeline is 20 years in the past, and it's her rise to power in this community, in this neighborhood. And then the present timeline, we're following her bratty daughter. Rhea is apparently the complete opposite of her mother. It says that she's spoiled and entitled with a wickedly rebellious streak that defies her mother at every turn. But then one day, Rhea finds her mom like cursed by some rando dude, and she not only has to save her mother, but she has to save the town. They're going to end up bonding. Rhea's gonna really step up and save the day and see that her mother probably loves her and is a good woman. It says it's the epic portrait of a mother and daughter who have struggled all their lives to understand one another, and a captivating exploration of racism, family, and womanhood. So it sucks that it's taken this to get them to connect, but hey, at least it's happening, I suppose. And finally, for fantasy for this month, we have This Kingdom Will Not Kill Me by Ilona Andrews. And Ilona Andrews is actually a married couple. They have written a couple series, one of which is the Kate Daniels series, which is fantastic. I've only read 2.5 of the books, and I love it so much. Like, the first book is so good. If you like urban fantasy, you need to check it out. But I purposely did not read this synopsis because I kind of want to get a reaction to see if it's good. I don't know. I'm gonna read it either way, even if the synopsis is boring, okay? Apparently it's page-turning, unforgettable fantasy set in a city peopled with ruffians, spies, malcontents, what is that? And murderers. Experience out-of-this-world adventure and dangerous politics as Maggie tries to survive waking up in her favorite fictional world. Oh, so it's like a portal fantasy. I feel like those have always been misses for me, but again, I love to find exceptions. When Maggie wakes up cold, filthy, and naked in a gutter, oh wow, it doesn't take her long to recognize Caer Torin. It's a city she's known intimately from the pages of a famously unfinished dark fantasy series, one she's been obsessively reading and rereading while waiting years for the final novel. I feel like this is the kind of thing I should like because, I mean, it's like a self-insert kind of thing, and that's an exciting fan fiction-y kind of fantasy, but we'll see. Her only tools for navigating this gritty world of rival warlords, magic, and mayhem, her encyclopedic knowledge of the plot, the settings, and the characters' ambitions and fates. But while she quickly discovers she cannot be killed, though many will try. Oh wow, that's like a very nice skill that she has. Wow. The same cannot be said for the living, breathing character she's coming to love, a motley band that includes a former lady's maid, a deadly assassin, various outrageous magical creatures, and a dangerously appealing soldier. Soon, instead of trying to return home, she finds herself enmeshed in the schemes and attentions of dueling princess, dukes, and villains, this all while trying to save them and the kingdom of Rellas from the ending she's seen. Oh, she already seen this ending? On a cataclysmic war. See, I think the thing is, and why I haven't enjoyed this kind of thing even though it feels like I should, is that it's only fun if oh, battery's dying, hold on. Okay, it's getting hot, we gotta get a move on. But I think I was saying that the only thing that would be fun about this is if we knew about the fantasy world as well, as much as the main character. But obviously we don't know it because these kind of books aren't fan fiction. Well, some of them are, but they're not like traditionally published. And instead there's just a lot of info dump. So we will see. I have trust in this duo, so I'm gonna try it out. Moving on to sci-fi, I only have 2 books here. So if you have any other sci-fi books that are coming out in March that you are aware of, please let us know. And you know what? Actually, any books of any genre, put it in the comments if you want everyone to know. But here's the 2 I found. First up, we have Hell's Heart by Alexis Hall. This is the author's sci-fi debut. And before, they've only written like romance, I'm pretty sure. How cool is that? I love it when authors sort of like veer off and do something new. I think it's so exciting. This feels like a very busy, energetic novel. Just the way the synopsis is written. I think it's like a spaceship. Spaceship. But it almost feels like a pirate situation. So we have our main character named I, and all of the characters are just letters. So there's like an A, there's a Q. I is boarding this spaceship. They're gonna go hunt down these creatures to get spermaceti, and I wish I were making that word up. Spermaceti. It's brain matter from some like alien thing that they use to fuel their world. That sounds really cruel. And I wonder if we're gonna talk about that or if that's just gonna be like what it is. I mean, that sounds really mean. But this is her her story gallivanting in space. There's probably going to be a mix of characters. She's going to bond with the captain, who is A, and someone named Q, who's holographic. And it says that her world is like forgotten. They're all women, and I think there's going to be some lesbian shit going on as well. And because we know that this author can do romance, I am excited for any sort of side plot romance. I think it's going to be a good one. And then we have Celestial Light. This is also a space traveling story, but it's very, very different. I think House Heart sounded kind of goofy and fun and electric. This one is very like literary leaning. It's almost general fiction. We're talking about a little boy. Well, it's a man. It's a man. His name is Ollie, but ever since he was a little boy, he's been obsessed with space, and he's had a dream to become an astronaut, and lo and behold, that's what he becomes. He is traveling to a moon, and I think we're just gonna get his life story, a coming of age in hindsight kind of thing. It sounds a little vague, but it sounds like it's also gonna be bittersweet, and those are the kind of stories I eat up, just like a human story about someone who has grown and experienced things. I'm a nosy bitch, and I just want to know what's going on in Ollie's head. And I love this cover. It just looks sweet, doesn't it? All right, moving on to horror. I have 12 picks here, and a lot of these are haunted house stories, which aren't my favorite, but I will give them chances. Again, I'm looking for exceptions. Maybe one of them is in here. We have The Valley of Vengeful Ghosts. This woman is a therapist, and yet her mother, I'm guessing this woman is grown, her mother does all of her laundry, cooks all of her food, handles all of her finances, and I have some questions because maybe I'm just jealous, but that sounds a little weird. Her mom dies, RIP, and her dying wish is for her daughter to use her inheritance to buy a house. So our girly ends up doing just that. I think it's just a random house, and it starts raining, but the rain does not stop. It starts like coming into the house, and I think we are going to be tiptoeing into surrealism. I don't think most of what's happening is actually going to be happening. I think it's going to be our main character going back in time, contemplating her relationship with her mother, her past. It also says she talks about some of the clients she has in their stories. She is talking about the workmen who are coming into this house and doing repairs. I saw a review that says to approach this like a short story collection, and I love it when reviews give us like direction. It's like, yes, please tell me how to read this. I guess if you go at it in like a separated kind of way, you won't be disappointed that there's like a lack of flow. So I will be keeping that in mind. This does sound a little straightforward, which is something I just have to say about a haunted house story. A lot of it's just like a trauma of the past, and that's like represented in a house. There have been a couple where the house is actually like trying to eat you, and those are the ones I really like. Next up, we have Turn Off the Lights, another haunted house story. This one's a little different because it's a beach house, which you don't see too much in this subgenre. Basically, we have two women who are in a haunted house. It's the same house, and it's 400 years apart, and I think they're somehow going to communicate or help each other out, or maybe they won't know each other at all, and we'll just get both of their POVs and timelines. I'm not sure. It's pretty vague. It's haunted. I don't know if it's a happy ending or not. Next up, we have Spoiled Milk, which is just a fun title. This is set in a girls' boarding school in 1928, and some weird shit starts happening. The milk starts getting spoiled, the food starts rotting, and the star pupil, she's like the prettiest, smartest girl of the year. I think they're all seniors, or at least our main character is. She drops dead. Our main character's name is Emily, and she and I think the other girls in her year are gonna try to figure out what the fuck is going on. And I think her main partner in all of this is her academic rival, Evelyn. Oh, and I just see where this is going, and I say yes, please. But you know how these girls are gonna find answers? Not by finding clues, not by doing police investigation. They're going to like try to talk to this dead girl. It says, desperate for answers, she and her classmates turn to spiritualism. Okay. And Violet, the dead girl, starts speaking through Evelyn. This is our main character's rival, by the way. So now my question is this actually happening? Or maybe Evelyn really is a bitch? I wanted her to be the love interest, but maybe it can all be true. Next up, You Should Have Been Nice to My Mom. This one sounds I think it's just the title. That's a good title. It makes me giggle every time. And I really like this cover. This is what I'm talking about. This looks like a house that wants to eat you. It has nothing to do with the story, at least. I don't know. Listen up. I say that like you're not listening to me. This is kind of giving Knives Out, which I love that movie. That's one of my comfort movies. I watch it all the time. We have a family who's come together because the patriarch, Papi Raymond, is dying. And the last thing he says right before he dies is that one of the people in the family, in the house, in the room is the demon that he made a deal with, and that the family needs to figure out who it is and kill them so that the rest of them aren't like damned for the rest of their lives. In which I say, Poppy, I think this is your fucking fault. Like, why are you putting this responsibility on everyone else? You made a deal with a demon. Okay. So we already know this is fun because like demon shit, I love that. Our main character is Zamora, and she's actually Poppy Raymond's favorite family member, and therefore everyone hates her guts. And I think that's very funny. And so this whole book is the 12 hours where this family's trying to figure out what's going on, who the demon is. I've got to read this book. I'm very interested. I hope it's not like a locked room situation where people drop dead one by one. I hate that in a book, by the way, because it takes the fun out of everything. Like, you know what's gonna happen. I don't care how good the explanation is or the twist. Like, everyone's gonna die, and that's just kind of like a bummer. I'd rather get everyone's secrets and like dirty truths out and betrayals and get all this drama and still have them be alive, because how much more juicy is that for everyone to be revealed as these awful people and like they're still simmering in this house together. Next up, I Love You, Don't Die. I really like this title, and this is the author of Chlorine, which I really liked. This synopsis though is kind of boring and vague. That sounded a little harsh, sorry, but I'm being honest here. But I have so much trust in this author that I just know it's because the real juicy shit is gonna be in the writing of this story, or maybe even spoilers that can't be said in the synopsis. Our main character's name is Vicky, and she's always been obsessed with death. She is that Tumblr bitch. She lived over like a funeral house back when she was little, and now I think her job is, wait, what is it? She sells bespoke urns. Okay. And it's like her dream job. She's living in New York City. She has a best friend. It sounds like her life is good, but it says that she's deeply like bored or unhappy with it, which is interesting because I think one of the greatest things about Chlorine was this main character and sort of how selfish she was. And so I know that this author can write a juicy character who might be unlikable. Fingers crossed. Anyway, it sounds like the plot is that Vicky is on a dating app and this couple wants to make a throuple with her. So we're gonna explore more of that. Apparently that makes her very happy, and then she gets bored again. So this might be very sad. It sounds like the character is grappling with whether or not life is worth it, especially as we know that she's been obsessed with death her whole life. So, I mean, in Chlorine, there's kind of some serious shit going on in there as well, psychologically. And so I wonder if this will further the theme of like, what is life worth? What are your passions worth? What will you do to gain things? It's just all very thematic things that I like thinking about. So I know I'm gonna love this, but honestly, they could have done a better job writing the synopsis. It sounds a little boring. Also, they haven't revealed of like why it's horror, which is why I think they're hiding things in the synopsis. I don't know. We'll find out. Next up, Mother is Watching. This sounds like a weird one that I'm gonna like. We have a 39-year-old woman, and she's like an art person. I think what is it? She's a conservator, and she's handed this piece of art called The Mother. Apparently, it is a part of a set, and they previously had thought that only 3 works were in the set, and this is like the secret lost 4th piece. So it's like a big fucking deal. As she's working on this art piece though, a bunch of weird shit happens. First of all, there's like bugs in swarms haunting her or like coming toward her. Yikes. She's also hearing voices, she's hearing whispering, and she ends up getting pregnant. And the way that they write it in the synopsis is making us think that it's like an immaculate conception kind of thing. Like somehow the portrait penetrated her? Wait, what? Is to blame for this pregnancy. I want to know what's going on. Oh yeah, also her dead mother visits her. So she wants to get rid of this painting, but it says the mother, she has plans of her own. So it sounds like the mother painting is making our main character into a mother so that she can possibly take over her identity and possess her. That sounds fun. Sorry. Okay, my ponytail is giving me a headache. We gotta take this shit down. Next up, You Did Nothing Wrong. This is the author of Don't Let the Forest In, which is YA. This one actually is adult, and it's another haunted house story. So we have our main character named Elodie. She has a son who's autistic, and it is good to know that the author herself is autistic, so hopefully she's not gonna fuck this up. Elodie meets like Prince Charming, and he ends up marrying her, knocking her up, and buying her a house. I don't know in what order that happens, but they all happen. Elodie's like, wow, look at this nice new life I have. But then her son starts hearing voices in the walls, and like weird shit starts happening to him in this home. And I guess it's going to be like a, is this happening or is it just the kid? I hope she does a good job with this, because this could really like, yikes, not go well. But in the synopsis, it says that it's clever, it's pulse pounding and shocking, and it's talking about the twisted bonds of family, which I do find interesting. So I guess we will see. Honeysuckle. This one sounds really good. I think I might be most excited for this one. This, I believe, is based on Welsh mythology, which I don't know too much about. So that's exciting. I love mythology. We have a brother and sister. The dude, I think, is one of our main characters. His name's Rory, and he keeps bugging his sister, so his sister makes him a friend. She's made out of flowers and words. And she's like, here, take this friend and leave me the fuck alone. So Rory loves his new friend. He names her Day. It's like D-A-Y-E. But at the end of every season, because she's made of like flowers, she has to be woven back together. And if she doesn't, she like rots or something. And eventually she could die. So the two of them go up, they're thick as thieves, and then I think they fall in love, which is very cute, except Rory starts getting a little controlling, and it seems like he's scared of losing Day, so he starts like clinging on harder. He starts trying to research his ass off to find out how they can make her a little bit more real. How can she be more safe? If there's a way that they can stop her from like falling apart every few months. But it says the farther Rory pushes his research and experiments to lengthen Day's existence, the more Day begins to wonder just how much control she really has over her own life. I love those kind of stories where like it doesn't sound like he's a bad guy, but when you think about their dynamic, it's kind of fucked up. And I wonder how much he's asking her what she wants. This just sounds like it's got a lot of meat in it. It sounds also like it's in a weird fantasy world, and I'm just so excited to read this one. I hope it doesn't let me down. Next up, we have Wolfworm. Is T. Kingfisher a machine? Because she just spits shit out. I am like so impressed at her, what's it called? I guess productivity. My God. This is set in 1899 in North Carolina in like the deep woods, and it's already kind of giving me The Woods All Black kind of feel. I never finished this book, by the way. This is a reminder for me to get back to it. Our main character's name is Sonia, and she's a scientific illustrator, which sounds like something T. Kingfisher would be so good at writing about. I love, it's like one of my favorite things about her books is that her characters are such fucking nerds, and they go into such detail about the very specific kind of job that they have. I think she specifically illustrates bugs, which would make sense because this is like called Wolfworm. Anyway, Sonia is hired by this doctor in North Carolina, so she moves out there, but things are a little sketchy because the woman who used to have her job, she's either dead or disappeared. Sonia has questions that no one will answer about like what the fuck happened to her. Animals are acting very strange, and the people in town keep talking about blood thieves. So some weird shit is happening. And now in the synopsis, I feel like they just tell you what happens. There's like a big spoiler. It sounds like a spoiler, but I mean, it's in the synopsis. So I'm just gonna tell you, but fast forward if you want to know not too much going into this, because I feel like this would be a really cool thing to come across without knowing about it first. Okay, you've been warned. But it says apparently this doctor who hired her has been running these experiments where he uses maggots and he like puts them in people's skin. He's been doing some weird experiments with maggots, which also makes sense because again, Wolfworm. And our girl's gonna get to the bottom of it and save the day, I guess. Why would they put that in the synopsis? That seems like the entire like answer to what's going on. So there's got to be more to the story, I'm guessing. I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna read it. I'm sorry if, I mean, I did warn you. Next up, A Spell for Saints and Sinners. I do like this cover, and apparently this is like a gender flipped you, but in like the Southern Gothic kind of tone. We have a young woman named Ingrid, and she is a psychic. She lives and works in her grandmother's old shop, and she was a psychic as well. One day, this other young woman named Sailor comes in. Also, how cute is that name? Imagine if your name was Sailor. Sailor's getting married, and I think she's going into the shop as like a gag for like a bachelorette party, but she quickly becomes closer with Ingrid. Sailor starts confessing things to her. They start becoming friends, but Ingrid is after her money, and she kind of becomes obsessed with Sailor. I guess if they're talking about you, it's gonna be an interesting ending. So I guess this is one for unlikable characters. It sounds like Ingrid's gonna do some fucked up shit, and I can't wait to read about it. Next up, Nothing Tastes as Good. This one's gonna be talking about weight, so like do with that what you will, and it's a horror novel. I don't think anything good is like going to be told. This is not a feel-good story, just a warning. It feels like this is Ozempic meets The Substance, and I think the quote is a nod to that Kate Moss quote, I'm pretty sure, where she's like, nothing tastes as good as skinny feels, except make it a horror story. Our main character's name is Emmett, and he feels like he doesn't belong because everyone in Southern California is like hot, they have six packs, and he's always been very self-conscious about his weight. He signs up for some clinical medical drug. It's called Obexity, where you practically lose weight overnight, and it does work, but it has some serious side effects, including overwhelming cravings and you black out. Also, people that are mean to this man end up being like eaten and killed. So we can connect the dots there. Emmett, I think, has also connected the dots, but he refuses to quit this drug because he's like, no, I can't stop because I'm skinny. And so I think he just becomes this like cannibalistic king. It says that it will keep you guessing until the very last page, which I wonder how true that is, because I think we've all connected dots here. But now I'm intrigued to read that final page, so I will be trying this out. I read one other book by this author. It was Scottish folktale, or like it was like about the devil in Scotland. It was very interesting, but it ended up being a 3.5. So I'm gonna keep my expectations low. It sounds kind of fun. And finally, for horror, we have The Fourth Wife, which is described as romantic, which as soon as I tell you about the synopsis, we're all gonna wonder how. This is set in 1879 in Utah Mormon territory, and apparently this is based on the author's ancestors, who I guess were Mormons. It also says it's based off like Mormon folklore, which I didn't even know was a thing. I thought Mormonism started in like 2004. Anyway, our main character's name is Hazel, and she's always dreamt of finding a husband, except she's always dreamt of having a monogamous marriage, which is not something that really happens in her circle. It also, like, this poor woman, it says that she also would like to be allowed to play the piano. Someone get this girl a piano. She ends up getting married, and he's really handsome, which I wasn't expecting, but he also has 3 other wives. So one of her dreams is already dead in the grass. Dead in the water? Where does that expression come from? And she's very surprised that everyone, these women, him, she, and everyone's kids actually live in the same house, which is a shock to her, but I actually thought that's how they did that. But apparently they would usually have separate houses for each of the wives and their kids. So Hazel's already like, something weird is going on. And the more she gets to know her husband, I think something's going on with him. I mean, this is a horror book. I don't know what's happening. She starts witnessing some paranormal things. So blood starts oozing out of the walls. She starts hearing this weird music, which is interesting because she likes to play the piano. So maybe it's her? I don't know. She starts seeing apparitions, that sort of haunted house bullshit. And then it doesn't tell us anything else. So I am curious, again, why is this described as romantic? It makes me think that this is going to get unhinged. And like a part of me just finds this a little goofy. And I think that's maybe why I want to read it. But also this cover is creepy. So could be very scary. I'm going to read it. We'll see. Moving on to mystery thrillers. I have 6 books here. First up is Strangers in the Villa. They don't give us too much, which makes me wonder if things get a little twisty. We have a couple, and he has recently cheated on his wife. So they decide to go on a private retreat, like private. It's like a private island. They must be rich. And while they are there, an attractive, they make sure to note this, Australian couple knocks on their door, and they seem a little like deserted, like they don't even know how they got to the island. The couple takes them in, and shenanigans happen, and there's probably a lot of twists. Like, where does this story go? I don't know. I hope this woman cheats on her husband with the hot Australian people, okay? Next up, we have The Primrose Murder Society. I really like this cover. Usually I stray away from cozy mysteries, but I think this one I might like. Our main character's name is Lila. She has an 8-year-old daughter named, I didn't write down her name. I'm so sorry, girl. But her husband is in jail for some sort of petty crime. She is now broke and a single mother. So she takes a job as a sort of janitor for a apartment complex, and she's in charge of cleaning up this like abandoned apartment. While mother and daughter are there, the person who lived in the penthouse, he dies. And his last dying wish is that someone solve his granddaughter's murder. She was murdered like 21 years ago and no one was able to solve it. And he will give someone $2 million. Who is like going to see this through? Because the dude is dead. So like, how does he know? Whatever. This 8-year-old girl is like, I like true crime. First of all, what is her mother letting her watch? But the daughter's like, oh, I want to investigate this. And the mom's like, you know what? We can bond over it. She's treating it like a joke. But all of a sudden, someone else dies. And Lila, our main character, looks very suspicious. So she suddenly actually has to solve this murder in order to clear her name. And in the process, I think she's going to befriend a bunch of people in the apartment complex, workers, residents, etc. So it sounds like it's going to be really wholesome. And I do love a mother-daughter combo. Sometimes kids annoy me in books, but sometimes they're so cute. So we'll see if the author does a good job here. I like the cover. honestly, that was enough to get me to try it. Next up, another wholesome investigative book. We have The Secret Lives of Murderers' Wives. It's set in 1966, and we're following 3 women, and all of their exes, either dead or alive, were convicted killers. They're either in the ground or in jail, and they decide to band together, like meet up, sort of become a support group for each other so that they can, you know, move on with their lives and make their lives better. Which just in that, like, I would just read about that even if there wasn't a mystery going on. That just sounds very wholesome and sweet. But there's actually a serial killer on the loose right now, and these ladies are like, we know all about serial killers. We know what they're like behind closed doors, and they think they're gonna be able to like find out who is the bad guy. And then they have their own shit going on. So one of the ladies is a control freak mother, another is a nerd who's fighting misogyny in the workplace, and the other is like a glamorous, somewhat vain woman. And I just can't wait to see them be friends and hang out. Like, I don't care that they're solving a crime. I just want them to have a happy ending. Come on. Next up we have Lucian, and the synopsis doesn't say this, but it feels very Saltburn to me. We're following 2 boys who are roommates at Harvard. One of them is a super rich dude named Lucian, and the other, I think this is our main character, his name is Atlas. He's a scholarship kid. He's gotten a full ride. Lucian is like crazy rich, like generational wealth kind of rich, sketchy person kind of rich. And he takes Atlas under his wing. Atlas, I think, I don't know, I kind of don't like stories, it's usually only men that these stories are about, who get obsessed with status. But then again, I loved Saltburn, so if this is anything like that, again, I'm making that connection here. The synopsis does not mention that, but I am crossing all of my fingers and toes without getting a Charlie horse, I hope. Lucian tells Atlas that to get some money, he could, because Atlas is studying art. He's like a very good artist. Obviously, he got a full ride to Harvard. And Lucian's like, hey, you could duplicate some art and sell it, which is like very illegal. And so I think things start spiraling out of control, and it says that Lucian is getting unhinged and Atlas is starting to get a little nervous around him. It is making a connection to The Talented Mr. Ripley. I've seen the movie, and so that's a little bit Saltburny as well. So the synopsis is trying to make it look like Lucian is going to like spiral things out of control, but I feel like it's actually going to be Atlas. I miss Saltburn. I loved Saltburn. So if anything even smells remotely like Saltburn, I'm gonna try to read it. Plus, I do like this cover. Oh, and the author actually graduated from Harvard. Interesting. Okay, next up we have The Hiding Season by Ava Glass. This book, I can't tell if I'm gonna like it or not, so I need some of you to read this one first and let me know. Our main character's name is Maya, and she just got a nasty divorce. She's desperate to make a life for herself and move on from this, so she accepts a job at a ski resort, except she's going in the summer, so it's going to be completely deserted except for like a couple people that are working there. One day, again deserted, she comes across one of the living rooms in one of the resorts, and there's a dead fucking body on the ground. Maya scrambles to find a phone that has cell service or like an area, and by the time she finally reaches the police, she goes back to the living room. The body's gone, so someone scooped it up. The police, of course, are like, no, this is a crazy woman. She's hysterical. She's probably like hallucinating or something. But then one night, some guy comes up to her and he's like, someone knows what you saw and they'll kill to keep this secret. And she's wondering if she can trust this man. So she's either gonna fall in love with this man or he's gonna end up being the killer, or at least work for the killer and try to kill her. I don't know if I care. This is the kind of thing where if an author's a good writer, oh, sounds like a backhanded compliment, but if this is well written enough, if the character is good enough, if the prose is good enough, I don't really care what's going on. So fingers crossed. I'm doing a lot of that in this. Mysteries, I just don't know that I love. I'm trying to find what I like in a mystery. I'm not sure that this is it, but I'm gonna try it out. But I would like you to read it first, okay? Next up, we have a thriller called The Plans I Have for You. This one actually sounds a little juicy. So we have Shelly. She is trying to become a lawyer, except something happens in the subway and she has a mental breakdown. Someone videotapes it and it goes viral. And somehow this breakdown has gotten her kicked out of her internship and has gotten her rejected from Columbia Law. What the fuck happened? I would like to know. So she goes back home to Kissimmee, Florida, LOL, and she's working at like a shitty motel by Disney World. She's feeling like a loser. She's feeling really sad. I feel bad for her. And one day, this woman named Sophia comes in with her husband and her kid, and Sophia must be like a celebrity or something like that because she has also had a viral moment that kind of ruined her. So the two women bond, and Sophia is like, I'm gonna help you get revenge on whoever spread this video or caused her mental breakdown. Again, I need to know the details. Then it says, I was not expecting this. Shelley returns to New York with a new identity. Now, do they mean just like she's rebuilt her identity, or does she have like a complete like costume image change? Does she dyed her hair? Does she have a new name? Like, what the fuck? Things end up spiraling out of control because this is a thriller. And then it says, it turns out Sophia has a dark side. So is like Sophia responsible for this somehow? Maybe this is her revenge and Shelley doesn't even know that she did anything to Sophia? Like, I'm already coming up with theories, which makes me very curious to actually read this one. And finally, we're at a genre that I've never featured at this length before, but welcome to my nonfiction era. I'm trying to read more nonfiction in 2026, and it's really been fun researching new releases, like having an eye out for nonfiction, because usually I pass right on over them because I don't really give a fuck. But I found 9 that I'm kind of curious about. I also have a handful. I know people hate self-help, and I get it, but I also have loved self-help since I was 11 years old. So I have flagged a couple that I want to look into. I'll put them up right here, but they're mostly about like brains. I've been really fascinated with how slow my brain is and how it feels like it's filled with fog or something. But reading more about that, I always love reading about like how to deal with shitty people. I don't know why. Psychology kind of stuff, ADHD, just interesting things that I think I'm looking for personal interest. I don't know. But the following 9 books are not self-help. At least I don't think so. They're like essays or nonfiction about random ass topics, which is very fun. First up, we have a collection of essays, and I love this cover. And may I just say, nonfiction, you need to work on your covers. Sometimes that's what makes me pick out a book. And sometimes if the synopsis is boring, I will literally only read it because the cover is cute. That makes me vain. I am okay with that. But like the only reason I clicked on this is because of the cover. Hey, I am gonna read all of these verbatim because I just don't know how to make these sound fun. Okay, so let's just read. This is a sharp and darkly funny new essay collection from this best-selling author. Never heard of them, sorry. It's exploring the irony and existential crisis of leaving your youth behind. This begins with the author's 29th birthday and ends with her 30th, which is kind of fun. Cassie tries to mature in the span of 1 year. Is that even possible? I don't know. Along the way, she reflects on the delusions that laid waste to her 20s and reckons with their consequences now that the specter of a new decade is looming. Touching on everything from the pressures to find the right partner, dealing with the relentless grip of social media, and navigating a body dysmorphic spirals, Delusions cuts through the noise, offering personal anecdotes, sharp cultural criticism, witty honest contemplations, blah blah blah. This could either suck or be very funny. I am a fan of reading personal essays from people just because I'm a nosy son of a bitch, and I want to know what people are thinking. And I think it's like even juicier because I know this is a real person and their real thoughts. Well, maybe. I think essays is a good gateway to nonfiction as well, because I've been reading essays even before I was trying to, like David Sedaris, I love him, and it feels like I'm reading stories, like general fiction kind of funny stories. Next up, this is Original Sin on the genetics of vice, the problems of blame, and the future of forgiveness. Also, look at this other cover. I think this is the UK cover. This is like way cooler. Come on. Now, this one I put on my list because I started reading the synopsis and it instantly made my hackles raise. I just hate the thought that my DNA is controlling anything in my life, but like mental illness, addiction, it all kind of is genetic at some point. I'm not a geneticist. I don't know shit about science, but I do know some of that is true. And so this is something that I hate, but I also want to read about. So it's going to be a weird read for me, but I'm being called to read about it. I also don't think I've read this whole synopsis, so let's get into it. As one of the world's leading scientists examining how our DNA shapes differences in temperament, temptation, and behavior, the author has seen firsthand how we in public and in our most private relationships continue to struggle with the ancient tensions. See, that just sounds like ew. Ancestors, get the fuck off of me. The ancient tensions between nature and nurture, freedom and constraint, the desire to punish and the longing to forgive. In Original Sin, the author weaves together insights from her own experiences as a daughter, mother, wife, and scientist with cutting-edge research in genetics and psychology to grapple with some of the most important questions in modern day. How do we take responsibility for the people we become, knowing how we are shaped by both biology and experience? How should we respond when people hurt each other or themselves? themselves? And has science made guilt obsolete? Absolutely not. I feel guilt every minute of the day. We're going to navigate the psychological and biological terrain of addiction, antisocial behavior, and violence, the discomforting ways science unsettles our understanding of wrongdoing and choice. Nature versus nurture is something I'm just always going to find fascinating, but also get so frustrated at, mostly just because like the odds were not in my favor. It's just something, it's a lot to think about. So I wonder if anyone else is curious about this. Here you go, a book to read, but maybe get the UK cover. Next up is Us versus Them, The Age of Indie Music in a Decade in New York, 2004 to 2014. I was such a little indie snob when I mean, from like 2009 to 2012. So that's definitely why I'm interested in this book. It's written by Ronan Givony, a writer and concert producer who had a front row view of it all. No idea who this bitch is. And so I feel like I probably should look him up to make sure he's not a sleaze. If you have any information, let me know. This chronicles the generation of young artists who came to Brooklyn in the mid-2000s, a small but seismic scene that coalesced under a billionaire mayor, a series of forever wars, and a music industry in freefall, in tandem with the impresarios, what the fuck is that? And unlicensed venues that lined the Williamsburg waterfront, combining elements of noise and pop. A few became unlikely superstars. And they don't like say any of the band's names, so I feel like I'm just gonna be so excited to be like, OMG, I knew them. I was so annoying, by the way. Through reporting, research, and interviews with musicians, industry insiders, and individuals from Pitchfork, Vice, Scion, and the Red Bull Music Academy, this book examines the rise and fall of indie music in a post-Napster landscape marked by vast disruption in technology. I don't care about the technology, politics, economics, journalism, and patronage. I probably should, but I just want to hear about that era of music because it was very specific and we were all so snobby about it, the fans of like indie rock specifically. And it was so funny because those bands probably were trying to get popular, but as soon as they did, it's like they weren't cool. So such a random point of time and place. I think I just want to know more about it. 368 pages of that, I might get bored, but I'm gonna try it out. Next up, oh my gosh. This one I feel like some of you actually would be interested in, even if you don't like nonfiction, although maybe you didn't even click on this section of the video. But this is called The Best Dog in the World, Essays on Love, edited by Alice Hoffman. This is an anthology of popular authors talking about their pets, including Chris Bohjalian, Roxane Gay, Emily Henry, Anne Leary, Tova Mervis, Jodi Picoult, Elizabeth Strout, Amy Tan, Adriana Trigiani, Nick Trout, and Laura Zigman, and of course, Alice Hoffman. These are the unforgettable tales of the dogs who left their paw prints on their hearts. It's a love letter to the loyal companions who enrich our lives and teach us about empathy, joy, and unconditional love. I am in the peak of needing a pet. Like, I don't just want a pet, I fucking need one. So this is gonna make me cry. I already know it. It's not even sad, I'm sure. If any of these are sad, I think I would like to sue. Next up, we have Black Out Loud, the revolutionary history of black comedy from vaudeville to 90s sitcoms. This is just like one of those specific topics that just sounds so interesting to me. Black comedians have long played a pivotal role in shaping the American sense of humor. The 1990s showcased a golden era for black comedy, highlighted by the surge of iconic sitcoms that redefined television and left a lasting cultural imprint. Shows like Living Color, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Living Single, Martin, and A Different World. They stood on the shoulders of decades of groundbreaking work by black comedians, both on and off screen and on stage, to deliver nuanced portrayals of life, family, and culture. Yet decades earlier, the idea of black artists dominating American airwaves with characters that were both hilarious and heartfelt would have been unimaginable. How did it come to be? The journey begins with 19th century minstrel shows. I don't even know what that is. Offensive by today's standards. Oh, okay. But the first stage for black performers to reach mainstream audiences. Over time, comedians challenged racial stereotypes, exploring race and identity through humor. Icons like Jackie Moms Mabley, Red Fox, Dick Gregory, Flip Wilson, Richard Pryor. I feel like I know that name. Whoopi Goldberg and Eddie Murphy shifted perceptions and changed how the nation understood itself. In this incisive history, Jeff Bennett tells the story of how they did it. In Black Out Loud, Bennett chronicles the transformative history of black comedy in America, drawing on research and interviews with the actors and executives behind some of the most impactful shows. This brilliant exploration traces the evolution of black comics and provocateurs who reshaped the culture and ultimately became powerful agents of social change, transforming the way America laughed along the way. This is like one of those things that sounds like it's going to be informative, like I'm going to learn, but it's also nostalgic, and there's going to be some storytelling from people. Next up, we have Light and Thread. This is by the author of The Vegetarian, which I've never read, but I hear it's good. And this is nonfiction. I think a big part of it is a written version of her Nobel lecture. I've not heard of this or what it's about. She writes of the wonders of following the thread we call language into the depths of other hearts, and her profound sense of an electric current which joins writers and readers. So it's like about writing and reading, but this isn't the only essay. So I just don't know. And I guess I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna find out more about her. And again, I'm nosy. So like, why not? Speaking of nosy, this book is called Seven Sisters, Captives and Rebels in Revolutionary Europe's First Family. This is the family of Marie Antoinette. I had no idea. Like, I know I've only seen this adaptation, which I love, of course. And I think in that we did see Marie Antoinette's mother. She seemed very regal and very strict. And we saw her brother. But apparently she had a shit ton of sisters. The mother, the matriarch of this family, was using them like bribes. She was basically trying to make their family as powerful as possible by like selling her daughters to the most influential people. Insane behavior. Why is my fridge making that noise right now? So it's like, yes, I'm gonna learn about history here. I am not a history person, but because I already sort of know about Marie Antoinette, I feel like invested in her life and I'm nosy, so I want to know about her sisters. And I'm hoping that this is written in a very accessible way for like a dummy like me who gets overwhelmed by dates and it doesn't know much about what was going on back then in these places. This unofficial dictum, what the fuck is a dictum? I'm sorry, we gotta look that one up. Define dictum. A formal pronouncement from an authoritative source. Now see, that just pissed me off. Why'd you have to go and use that word? Okay, the unofficial dictum had for centuries kept the Habsburgs, that's a hard one to say, Habsburgs at the peak of power. But by 1764, the dynasty was in a precarious position. After a difficult ascension and 2 lengthy wars, the Empress Maria Theresa faced enormous debts, restive subjects, and shaken political ties. True to Habsburg traditions, she sought the remedy in marriage alliances, and her arsenal was her 7 daughters. They were to serve as her pawns in the ruthless game of 18th century dynastic politicking. First of all, this sounds like the shittiest time to ever be alive. This sounds like a nightmare. Delivered to the grandest or dingiest courts in Europe, they made their difficult and even dangerous dictum. Like what? Mariana the Seeker, the Grande Dame Marie Christine, Elizabeth the malicious disfigured beauty, fractious and wayward Amelie of Parma, the tragic bride Josepha, Carolina of Naples, Napoleon's relentless enemy, and Antonia, youngest of the 7, sacrificial offering to the gods of revolution, better known as Marie Antoinette. Meticulously researched and animated by the sisters' own diaries. Oh! See, that is juicy. That almost feels rude, but like, I am curious. The almost daily letters traversing the continent, Seven Sisters reveals the drama, tragedy, and comedy of these exceptional yet all too human lives. It's a vivid portrait of a brilliant world collapsing in a fearful time. I just feel so bad for these girls. Like, they were just sent away. Oh. So yeah, I'm in it for the drama. I'm in it for the juice. R.I.P. Next up, how to be okay when nothing is okay. Tips and tricks that kept me alive, happy, and creative in spite of myself. I'm sorry, that's great. This is Jenny Lawson, and I've heard a lot of great things about her essays. I think they're supposed to be funny, but also like warm and insightful. Jenny Lawson is full of contradictions. She's a celebrated author, but battles self-doubt, paralysis, and anxiety. She's an award-winning humorist, but struggles with treatment-resistant depression. The question she's most often asked by people is, how do you do it? How do you keep going even when it feels impossible? How do you keep creating? This book is her answer. Jenny shares 100 humorous, heartfelt, and genuine tools and tricks that she relies on to keep her going, even when her brain isn't working properly due to depression, anxiety, and ADHD. She also offers tips to stay passionate and focused on creative endeavors, especially when everything around you is staying to give up. Isn't that interesting? I feel like what we're talking about so far, just in the synopsis, is what I'm looking for in all of these self-help books. So maybe I should just read this instead. It sounds more entertaining anyway. With chapters like wash your brain more than you wash your bra. Huh. AKA sleep, you beautiful human. Work on easy mode, aka asking for accommodations is okay. Celebrate good times, come on. Make a habit to celebrate the good things. And many more. How to be okay when nothing is okay is a balm and companion. Aw. Reminding us all that we are not alone. It's for anyone who struggles with self-doubt, guilt, motivation, and mental blocks and wants to rekindle their passion for creating. Funny, simple, and empathetic, and inspirational, it will encourage you not just to survive, but to find and curate joy in the face of difficult times. Oh my God. See, this sounds great. And I'm wondering if I should start here or go in like publication order. But I'll definitely be diving into this author's backlist. And then I think our final book here is so random and I'm so excited to read it. It's called True Color: The Strange and Spectacular Quest to Define Color from Azure to Zinc Pink. I've only read the blurb here, but it's the story of the obsessive genius behind the definitions of the colors we use today. Just like the random titles of or names of some of these colors. And it's so funny, like cerulean. Come on! Here's an example. Begonia, a deep pink that is bluer, lighter, and stronger than average coral. Sea coral. Bluer than Fiesta, and bluer and stronger than Sweet William, called also Gaiety. Like, who decides what these colors are named? I think that's so interesting. What could be bluer than Fiesta possibly mean? While editing dictionaries for Merriam-Webster, Corey Stamper found herself drawn again and again to the whimsical color definitions in Webster's third new international dictionary, especially when compared to the dry and impersonal entries that filled the rest of the volume. Stamper couldn't help but wonder, okay, Carrie Bradshaw, who is the voice behind these peculiar definitions? Meet I.H. Godlove. What an interesting name. An erratic but brilliant up-and-coming scientist. What? Who was one of the experts Merriam-Webster hired in 1930 to help revise the dictionary to reflect a rapidly modernizing world. His fascinating life mirrors the wild and winding journey that color science, color psychology. What is color psychology? Is that like symbolism through color? And color production took through the 20th century. Stamper tracks these industries as they move into the atomic age and intertwine in strange and surprising ways, spanning 2 world wars involving chemical explosions, an unexpected suicide, and dramatic office politics, an extraordinary love story. Filled with captivating facts about color words and colors themselves. For example, did you know that the word puke used to be a highly fashionable color before it was associated with vomit? Let's look that up. The color puke. Oh, I'm gonna click images. I'm really hoping. Oh! This makes sense. Oh, interesting. I actually just got a pillow that's that color. It's so puke. OMG. Fueled by Stamper's inexhaustible curiosity. I want to be known for my inexhaustible curiosity. Oh my god. True Color will transform the way you see the world from black and white to Technicolor. Like, doesn't that sound whimsical and fun? I love this. This is so random. I did not get to all the books I researched and not even all the books that I requested from NetGalley. So here are some others that are on my radar that I might try out, might borrow from the library. They probably had some boring synopses that I didn't want to waste your time with, but some of them sound very good as well. I think I said this during part of the video, but in case you just skipped to here, please let us know if I missed one of the books that are coming out in March that you think should be on everyone's radar. Put it in the comments so we can all see. I love looking up new releases, so I'm curious what you found. I think the next month I'm very excited for new releases is May. As I was researching for March, my god, the May releases. That's gonna be an electric month, so I'll see you then. I'll see you many, many more times before that, but goodbye! Oh, wait, I did that wrong.